Hey everyone, a big welcome back to The Sound Museum, the music podcast that explores that personal connection we all have with the music that we listen to. As always, thank you so much for listening to the Sound Museum podcast, especially over the last few weeks. A bit of an update on the podcast. We are charting. I can't believe it. We have charted in the last few weeks in the Netherlands, in Canada, and here in Australia, reaching number 22 and number 14 in New Zealand on the Apple Podcast Music Chart, which is amazing. So a massive thank you to everyone who has listened and subscribed to the podcast, and a big welcome to all the new listeners. I really hope you enjoy going back and catching up on the past episodes you may have missed, and there's so many great episodes coming up for you between now and the end of the year. So make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast provider so you don't miss any of those future episodes. And if you're using Apple Podcasts, I would greatly appreciate a lovely review. That would be incredible. And you can also leave a star rating on Spotify as well. Speaking of Spotify, on the day I'm recording this episode for you, Spotify have just announced they are increasing their memberships. My partner Sean and I have a family membership for Spotify. That's going up $2 a month. Can you believe it? Everything's going up. So we love music, we love streaming new music and old music on Spotify. So I guess we're just going to have to suck it up, frustratingly, but also I can sort of understand as well. But moving on to this week's episode, last week we had the 40th anniversary of Madonna's debut album. We were celebrating that, and there was so much fun during the episode and putting all the photos on social media or the videos on Instagram and TikTok. Really hope you enjoyed all the social activity around Madonna's debut album last week. We are sticking with the Queen of Pop this week. We're continuing the theme, and this week we are celebrating the ultimate 80s countdown, Madonna edition. So Madonna had her start in the 80s. 1982, her debut single Everybody was released, and she pretty much ruled the airwaves in the 80s. I mean, I was growing up in the 80s. It was my era for music, and Madonna was queen for me. Absolutely love Madonna, especially around the debut album, and then Like a Virgin period, and then True Blue, Like a Prayer. So many great songs, so many great albums from Madonna in the 80s. And that is what we're celebrating this episode on the Sound Museum, going back and celebrating all those classic 80s tunes from the Queen of Pop, Madonna. Now, if you have subscribed to the podcast on social media, you would have seen my call out for a vote for your top 3 Madonna songs. And thank you so much to everyone who voted. I have counted the votes, I've tallied the votes. So let's get started with the ultimate 80s Madonna countdown. Coming in at number 10 is one of my favorite Madonna songs. This is Ooh, You're an Angel. That is Angel from the Like a Virgin album, written by Madonna and Stephen Bray and produced by chic producer Nile Rodgers. On the B-side was Into the Groove. Now that appeared on the B-side for the 12-inch in the US and here in Australia. Angel was the 3rd single release from the album. It was also released as a standalone single in many countries, including the US, UK, and New Zealand. And like most singles in the 80s, there was an extended mix of Angel. Let's check it out now. Angel reached number 1 here in Australia, number 2 in New Zealand, number 5 in the US, and reaching number 1 on the US Dance Club Songs chart. Angel also reached number 5 in Canada and the UK, and top 5 in Ireland and Spain. One of my absolute favourites. Love, love, love Angel. Let's move on to number 9 on your countdown, the ultimate 80s Madonna songs. And this track I do remember dancing to at the school formal back in 1985.
If you read my mind, you see I'm crazy for you. Touch me once and you know it's true. I never wanted anyone like this. It's so brand new. You feel it in my kiss. You feel it in my kiss because I'm crazy for you.
That is Crazy for You, written by John Bettis and John Lynn, not written by Madonna, produced by John Jellybean Penendez. That was released in March 1985 from the film Vision Quest, where Madonna plays a singer in a local bar. Now, the film was a box office bomb, only making $13 million at the box office. But that did not matter when it comes to the music charts, because Crazy for You was a massive hit, reaching number 1 in the US, becoming Madonna's second number 1 single, number 1 in Australia and Canada, number 2 in New Zealand, UK, and Ireland. Madonna received her first Grammy nomination for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. She sadly lost out to Whitney Houston's breakthrough hit Saving All My Love for You. Now, there was no official 12-inch version of Crazy for You, but legendary producer DJ Junior Vasquez done a remix of the track several years ago. This was never commercially released, but here's a taste for you.
True. I never wanted anyone like this. It's all brand new. You'll feel it in my kiss. You'll feel it in my kiss because I'm crazy for you. Touch me once and you know it's true. I never wanted anyone like this. It's all brand new. You feel it in my kiss. I'm crazy for you.
That is a Junior Vasquez remix of Crazy for You by Madonna. Moving on to number 8 in your countdown, the ultimate 80s Madonna singles, and this is Who's That Girl? Written and produced by Madonna and Patrick Leonard. That was released on the 29th of June 1987. The B-side was the track White Heat from the album True Blue. Who's That Girl was a Latin-flavoured summer pop track with both English and Spanish lyrics. Madonna recorded her vocals for the track in just one take, proving what a great pop singer Madonna is. Who's That Girl was taken from the movie soundtrack Who's That Girl, which Madonna starred in. Who's That Girl had a budget of about $20 million, but only made $7 million at the box office. As usual, the film was panned by critics and was a box office bomb, but the song Who's That Girl was another massive worldwide hit, reaching number 1 in the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Belgium, Portugal, Italy, and Netherlands, number 2 in New Zealand, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Norway, Switzerland, and Sweden. Let's check out the 12-inch mix of Who's That Girl? The song was also nominated for a Grammy Award and a Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song from a Movie. Moving on to number 7 in your ultimate 80s Madonna countdown.
Don't go for second best, baby. Put your love to the test. You know you got to make him express how he feels. And baby, then you know your love is real. Express yourself. You got to make him express himself.
That is Express Yourself, written and produced by Madonna and Stephen Bray, released on the 9th of May 1989. On the B-side was a track from the Who's That Girl soundtrack, The Look of Love. Express Yourself was the second single from the 1989 album Like a Prayer. Express Yourself was an inspiring and empowering track, especially for women, and I love the lyrics on this track. And I quote, "You deserve the best in life, so if time isn't right, then move on. Second best is never enough. You'll do much better, baby, on your own." Love that lyric from Express Yourself. The iconic video had a budget of $5 million, but Madonna has 3 videos in the top 5 for the most expensive videos. 2002's Dying of the Day is at number 2, costing over $6 million. And then Express Yourself, and that ties with 1995's Bedtime Story, also costing $5 million. Now, interesting fact on Express Yourself, the 7-inch version and the version that appears on the Immaculate Collection both have different intros. Let's take a listen to the 7-inch version first, and then the version that appears on the Immaculate Collection. Express Yourself reached number 2 in the US and New Zealand, number 5 in Australia and the UK, and across Europe, it was another top 5 hit for Madonna. Last week on the podcast, we celebrated the 40th anniversary of Madonna's self-titled debut album, and this track appears on that album, and it comes in at number 6 on your countdown.
Feels like I'm going to lose my mind. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline,
That is Borderline, written and produced by Reggie Lucas, released on the 15th of February 1984. On the B-side were tracks from the album Think of Me and Physical Attraction. Let's check out the US remix of Borderline.
just keep on pushing my love over the
Borderline reached number 10 in the US, number 4 on the US Dance Club Songs chart, number 56 in the UK, but when it was re-released in 1986, it reached number 2. It reached number 12 in Australia and number 47 in New Zealand, also going top 10 in Belgium, Denmark, and the Netherlands. We are moving into the top 5, and this track clearly is one of Madonna's favourites.
Tropically island breeze, all the nature wild and free. This is where I long to be, La Isla Bonita. And when the samba played, the sun would set so high, ring through my ears and sting my eyes, your Spanish lullaby.
La Isla Bonita, written and produced by Madonna and Patrick Leonard, released on the 25th of February 1987. On the B-side was the instrumental version of the track. La Isla Bonita was the fifth single from Madonna's third album, True Blue. Madonna has said several times this is her tribute to the beauty and mystery of the Latin American people. Another interesting fact on this track, producer Patrick Leonard initially presented the instrumental demo to Michael Jackson for his Bad album, but he turned it down. Thankfully, Madonna recorded the track because clearly she loves it, because over the years she's performed it on most of her world tours. Fingers crossed we also get a performance of this track on her upcoming Celebration tour. Let's take a listen to the extended mix of La Isla Bonita.
I want to be where the sun warms the sky. When it's time for siesta, you can watch them go by. Beautiful faces, no cares in this world, where a girl loves a boy and a boy loves a girl.
La Isla Bonita reached number 1 in the UK, Canada, Germany, France and Switzerland, number 4 in the US, number 5 in New Zealand and number 6 here in Australia. Moving on to number 4 in your Madonna Ultimate 80s Countdown, this is Open Your Heart.
Don't try to run, I can keep up with you. Nothing can stop me from trying. You've got to open your heart to me, baby. I hold the lock and you hold the key. Open your heart to me, darling. I'll give you love if you turn the key.
Written by Madonna, Gardner Cole and Peter Rafelson, also produced by Madonna and Patrick Leonard. Open Your Heart was released on the 19th of November 1986. On the B-side was the album track White Heart from True Blue, but in the UK they got the track Lucky Star from the debut album. Open Your Heart was the fourth single from the True Blue album. And did you know this was originally intended for Cyndi Lauper, but the writers never got the chance to play the track to her. The demo version of the track features Jonna Delory, who would go on to work with Madonna as one of her backing singers. Open Your Heart was the first track recorded for the True Blue album. Let's take a listen to the extended mix of Open Your Heart.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Reaching number 1 in the US, number 4 in the UK, number 12 in New Zealand, and number 16 in Australia. Open Your Heart also reached the top 10 in several European markets. Okay guys, we're moving into the top 3. This is your countdown, all the songs voted by you via our Sound Museum social media. Thank you so much for all the votes. Number 3 is...
When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there. In the midnight hour, I can feel your power. Just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there. When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down.
That is, of course, Like a Prayer, written and produced by Madonna and Patrick Leonard, released on the 3rd of March 1989. This was the first single from the 1989 album of the same name. Like a Prayer became a massive hit worldwide, reaching number 1 in the US, Canada, UK, Australia and New Zealand, and number 1 across Europe. Like a Prayer has sold over 5 million copies worldwide. And like Express Yourself, Like a Prayer has different intros that appear on the 7-inch version and the version that appears on the Immaculate Collection. Let's take a listen to those 2 different intros now.
forgot?
Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home.
Now, who can forget that iconic video? At the time, it was condemned by the Vatican. Family and religious groups began protesting. Soft drink giant Pepsi walked away from their sponsorship deal, but Madonna kept her $5 million fee. Heading into number 2, and this was a clear favourite.
Please, Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble deep. Papa, don't preach. I've been losing sleep, but I made up my mind. I'm keeping my baby. I'm gonna keep my baby. Oh,
That is Papa Don't Preach, written by Brian Elliott and Madonna, produced by Madonna and Stephen Bray, released on the 11th of June 1986. On the B-side was Pretender from the Like a Virgin album. In the UK, they got a different B-side, Think of Me, from the debut album. Papa Don't Preach was a second single released from the third album, True Blue, a track about a girl trying to tell her father about her teenage pregnancy. This is one of my favourite parts from the song.
Daddy, Daddy, if you could only see just how good he's been treating me. You give us a blessing right now, 'cause we are in love. We are in love, so please, Papa, don't preach.
Papa Don't Preach reached number 1 in the US, UK and Australia, number 3 in New Zealand, and it was another big hit right across Europe. Let's check out the extended mix of Papa Don't Preach.
We are in love, so please.
The video for the track was shot in New York, featuring a whole new look for Madonna. That short blonde hair, the t-shirt saying Italians do it better. Love the vibe of the video, and Madonna looks hot. Well, we have reached number 1, but before we announce the winner, let's just go through and recap the top 10 so far from your Ultimate Madonna 80s Countdown. At number 10 was Angel. Number 9 was Crazy for You. Number 8 was Who's That Girl? Number 7, Express Yourself. Number 8, Borderline. Number 5, La Isla Bonita. Number 4, Open Your Heart. Number 3, Like a Prayer. And we've just heard number 2, Papa Don't Preach. Now, the number 1 single was a clear winner. It was overwhelmingly the winner from the start. It's absolutely huge. A clear winner with all the listeners of the Sound Museum podcast. This is your number 1.
And you can dance for inspiration. Come on, come on, come on. I'm waiting. Get into the groove, boy. You got to prove you're to me. Yeah. Get up on your feet, yeah. Step to the beat.
No surprise at all, that was the amazing Into the Groove, written and produced by Madonna and Stephen Bray, released on the 15th of July 1985. In the US, it was released as a B-side on the 12-inch single of Angel, but in many countries around the world, it was released as a standalone single, including the UK and New Zealand. Into the Groove is from the movie Desperately Seeking Susan, which Madonna starred in. The movie had a budget of $5 million, but made over $27 million at the box office.
Susan!
Good going, stranger.
Because Into the Groove was such a massive hit, it was later added to the international reissue of the Like a Virgin album. A massive international hit, reaching number 1 in Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland, Netherlands, Austria, Belgium, Finland, Iceland, Italy, and Spain. An interesting fact here, as a boy when I was living in New Zealand in the 80s, in early August 1985, Madonna had 3 songs in the New Zealand top 5. Angel at number 5, Into the Groove at number 3, and Crazy for You at number 2. Different versions of the track appear on the You Can Dance compilation and the Immaculate collection.
Step to the, step to the, step to the beat. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, 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 come on. Only when I'm dancing can I feel this free. At night I lock the door where no one else can see. I'm tired of dancing here all by myself. Tonight I wanna dance with someone. Without your fantasy here with me, just let the music set you free. Touch my body, move in time. Now I know you're mine.
A compilation of scenes from the movie were used for the video, as no official video was shot for Into the Groove. Well, that was your ultimate 80s Madonna countdown as voted by you on our social media platforms. There were so many choices, and many of you said to me how hard it was for you to vote for your top 3. So many of your favourites were sort of in the middle, didn't quite make the countdown, but these 2 tracks were just outside your top 10. First up was Burning Up.
Come on, let's go. I'm burning up for your love. I'm burning up for your love. I'm burning up for your love, for your love.
Written by Madonna and produced by Reggie Lucas, Burning Up was released on the 9th of March 1983, reaching number 3 on the US Dance Club Songs chart and number 13 in Australia, and that was Madonna's first single to chart in Australia, and it remained on the chart for over 8 months. Another track just outside your top 10 was from the album Like a Prayer.
I cherish the thought of always having you here by my side. Oh baby, I cherish the joy you keep bringing it into my life. I'm always singing it. Cherish the strength you got, the power to make me feel good. And baby, I perish the thought of ever leaving. I never would.
That is Cherish, written and produced by Madonna and Patrick Leonard, released on the 1st of August 1989. On the B-side was a track Supernatural, a track which did not appear on the Like a Prayer album. Cherish was the 3rd single from the album, reaching number 1 in Canada, number 3 in the US, number 4 in Australia, and number 5 in New Zealand. It also reached the top 10 in several European countries. Let's take a listen to the 12-inch mix of Cherish.
Cherish is what I used to remind me of your
Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear the track Cherish, I think of the video. Such an amazing video, directed by famed photographer Herb Ritz and shot in Malibu, California. Now, confession time, guys. One of my favourite tracks from Madonna did not appear in the top 10. I was gutted. I absolutely love the song. This is Dress You Up. Dress You Up was not written by Madonna, but produced by Nile Rodgers. On the B-side was a track from the Like a Virgin album, Shooby Doo. Dress You Up was released on the 24th of July 1985. Producer Nile Rodgers turned down the track, but Madonna liked the lyrics and wanted to include the track on the album. Dress You Up reached number 5 in the US, UK and Australia, and number 7 in New Zealand. Also going top 20 in several European countries. Now, back in the day, I remember buying the song on 12-inch vinyl. If you listen to my previous podcasts, you would know that in the late 90s, I sold most of my vinyl, a decision I now regret. But back in the day, I did have the 12-inch vinyl of Dress You Up, and I loved this 12-inch formal mix. That is the 12-inch formal mix of Dress You Up, one of my favourite Madonna songs from the 80s. So as I mentioned before, there are quite a few tracks that didn't make the top 10, obviously. And if your favourites didn't make it, it could be in this mix.
Get into the groove. I got the moves, baby. You got the motion. If we got together, we'd be causing a commotion. I got the moves, baby. You got the motion. If we got together, we'd be causing a commotion. We took a holiday. Some time to celebrate. Come on, let's celebrate. Just one day out of life. Just one day out of life. It would be so nice. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like a virgin, hey, touch for the very first time. Like a virgin, with your heartbeat next to mine. Like a virgin, living in a material world, and I am a material girl. You know that we are living in a material world, and I am a material girl. A material, a material, a material, a material world.
Truth is never far behind. You kept it hidden well. If I live to tell the secret, I knew then. Will I ever have the chance again?
Tracks which didn't make the top 10, but clearly loved by some of you. That was Holiday, Like a Virgin, Material Girl, Causing a Commotion, and Live to Tell. Now, when I was calculating the votes for the countdown, surprisingly, there were 4 songs which received no votes. No love from you for these 4 tracks.
That's right, baby, I'm a gambler. Gambler. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I'm a gambler, and I will take you by surprise.
That is Gambler, The Look of Love, Oh Father, and Keep It Together, receiving no votes at all from any of you. Well, guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this week's podcast episode celebrating Madonna's songs from the 80s with your ultimate Madonna countdown as voted by you. Thank you so much for all your votes and getting involved on our social media. Make sure you follow the show on all our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and now Threads. So make sure you're following the show and keep an eye on our social media this weekend to see what's coming up on next week's show. As always, thank you so much again for listening. You have a great week. Take care, and I will see you next week with another new episode of The Sound Museum.